One of the mistakes that people make in the process of trying to become successful and more specifically trying to achieve a certain project is that they do projects out of order. Um, what I mean is that they tend to set certain objectives, certain goals after the one that needs to come before it. I guess what I'm saying is that someone that is perhaps trying to write a novel, what they will do is they will set goals and achieve them after their main one, right? If you're trying to write a novel, you have to just sit at the table and write. You have to sit at the keyboard and actually type it out. What people tend to do, though, and this is can be somewhat destructive, especially people that tend to fail at this process, is they focus on the goal after that. So instead of focusing on writing, they'll look at, okay, if they're going to self-publish, for example, they'll look at, all right, ways to market my self-published story. They'll spend time um, looking at, book cover designers and design, invest hours looking at, all right, how am I going to how what book cover am I going to choose? How am I going to um, get the story out there? Who am I going to connect with? How am I going to get reviews for the book? All of these things and these objectives that come after the primary one, which is writing the book, people will focus on, and it's very, very, very destructive. And it's often why people don't get anything done. It's really a form of procrastination, but approached from a different perspective. Um, and to be frank, I'm looking at what I got done for this month, and I've got to say, I am the king of doing this. Very hypocritical of me, I suppose, to critique this, and yet I do it, and I tend to actually get some degree of success, believe it or not. Um, I guess what I mean is I'm going through the self-publishing process now for my first, like really that first novel. I'm gonna use the title of it now in the videos going forward here. It's Crease. The name of the novel is Crease. I'm calling it Crease. I had Tarot originally. I've decided to change the name just to Crease. That for now is at least the working title, which I'm like 99% sure it's going to be the one going forward. But I'm going looking into that, right? And so the novel is now written, and yet I'm looking at all of the fun things, right? There are very immediate things that need to get done with this book. It needs to be sent to an editor, basically a freelance editor, to go through it one last time to get everything right. It's got to go through the editing process. I have to look at potentially acquiring a book cover. I have to look at setting up certain accounts online. To basically as a publisher, to start looking at avenues for getting the book printed, etc., etc. And yet, I've spent my time looking at things that are beyond that. I spent a good portion, I wouldn't say a good portion, but I spent first couple days of the month after I announced that I was going to self-publish, going over formatting, literally how the book is going to look after I copy edit it. The style, the fonts, the style, how the copyright page is going to look, how the dedication is going to look. All of the stuff that comes at the end, I've been focusing on now. Um, and if I might say, I love that part of the process. I think it's been the funnest part of the entire process, actually. This whole self-publishing thing has actually been formatting this book. I think it's so, so, so cool to make this thing look professional, to actually make it look as good as if you picked it up in a bookstore. If I put it side by side with a traditionally published book, you couldn't tell the difference. That to me is fun. That to me, I get a jazz out of that. And yet, it's completely out of order. And I'm wondering now if that's going to be a problem. I wonder now if that will become a problem later on if I am not focusing on the immediate thing. I don't think so, and I think for right now, I think just getting anything done is important. Um, but that's a good example. Another area where I failed this miserably is I have a new video series that'll be on this channel next month. I guess this is going to be kind of a small plug for it. Video series is going to be me and a fellow author. We're going to be talking about different writing topics. And we're just going to go back and forth and kind of just banter for a little bit. Weekly on a weekly series here. Almost like a round table discussion. And I've been working on, before even filming the content for the series, I've just worked on getting the thumbnail right? Worked on creating the thumbnail for the video. Again, it's the goal after the immediate goal, the goal after the important goal, the goal after the current goal that I'm focusing on. This sort of looking farther ahead, um, it keeps it it can be very, if you're not careful with it, it can be very destructive because you are going to spin your wheels and you're going to go down this rabbit hole. I think I'm well disciplined enough that I can do that, that I can kind of have my fun with this for right now, kind of get the excited creative part of it, right? Because that's what I love, right? I love designing the thumbnails. I love creating the format. I love being creative. I love creating things. Um, and producing the content and actually doing like the actual like paperwork of self-publishing, that's always the annoying part, right? Doing the actual publishing like steps, that's sort of the annoying part, the business part, right? That's the part that's the labor in a sense. And so there is going to be a challenge perhaps in myself doing the fun part first. And if you're someone like me who's gone through this, uh, what I would suggest is develop the discipline to have your cake and eat it too, if you can do it. If you can sort of enjoy these steps in the process, that's awesome. Um, but develop the discipline to be able to have to take a couple bites, right? I'm sort of taking a couple bites of that cake, and then I'm getting back to the main meal, right? Getting back to my vegetables here after having a couple bites of dessert. It's not the way things are supposed to be done, but I find I can make it work. Um, and so I guess the point of this video is, um, you can get things wrong. You can make these mistakes, and if you have the discipline to stay on track, these mistakes don't end up being mistakes at all. These things end up being assets for you. And so, if you are someone who maybe has faced this kind of challenge before, who's gone through and maybe you faced the that kind of dread, right? The dread of procrastinating by doing the thing after the immediate goal that you need to get done. Be aware of how toxic that is, and try and develop a level of discipline that allows you to maybe do that, to maybe have a little bit of fun in this process, to maybe look a little bit ahead, and also stay on the course to getting your goal done.